zoning compliance is the township's responsibility, and the ECA will be approved based on the merits under the Environmental Protection Act.
So I was disappointed. I felt that it was articulated to us that it would be highlighted that the applicant would require zoning, but it just ended up being a standard condition. So that was disappointing. Not that it made much difference. Also, I called M&R staff because this is inside a licensed pit. And when we were on the aqua farming tour, I said to Kyle Neville, I'm not sure his last name, how many times they said, we're still waiting on, some action on the illegal activities in the township. He said, oh, we'll get back to you. And I've called him 2 or 3 times, no answer, leave a message saying that we still want action. Because I stated to Kyle, maybe I played our hand. I said, even if this ECA is approved, which we felt was going to happen, they're not going to have the site all permissions or building permits or anything from the township to go forward to construct this thing. So you can simply stop this use because it's inside the ARA and tell them to cease. And we've received nothing. So it's been a very frustrating process, but I keep calling Kyle every couple of days and leaving a message. Because it's not only that site, we have other concerns in the township too. So anyhow, it was disappointing that it felt like we were gonna get some sort of little highlight, put it in bold, that you had to be in compliance with your zoning for this approval, and even that didn't transpire, so I'm not sure why that was, and I don't know if it's even worth following up with the individual on that or not.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I think not. I mean, again, if we're writing generally about our disappointment in the process, and from a staff perspective and perhaps a public perspective, the most disappointing part of this process is the lack of transparency. So that again, I think was a surprise to certainly to staff, that these applications, when they're submitted, they're worked through between the staff at the Ministry of Environment and the applicant. They work together to craft these ECA approvals. The municipality is not circulated for comment. When I did reach out to access the information that was submitted, so you'll notice there's some schedules in here that are not part of the package. When I reached out to the MECP to request that information, I was told I would have to reach out to the applicant directly. They will not provide that to anyone that asks. So looking at this as a transparent, process that impacts land in our municipality, that's a troubling process for the members of our public. If they had to then go and reach out to an applicant to access information, I'm thinking of a member of our public, that's a barrier for them. This information should be available on the ERO for people to download without having to request it. And likewise, the fact that the municipality is said, you're not a part of this review process. This is done strictly with the Ministry of Environment and the applicant, and you will essentially receive a copy of the approved document with no appeal rights. So that, to me, that process is just has so many concerns in it. And I mean, we don't even see that process replicated in other ministries. So the ARA process is public facing, public consultation. You see it in those sort of sister ministry processes. And so there's a lot here that I think is concerning in general.
Is it worth applying those schedules?
Absolutely, staff are in the process of doing that.
And the appeal provisions, you were looking into them as well, weren't you?
Yes, so the appeal provisions are only there for the applicant. So the municipality does not have appeal rights. We could have appeal rights through a different legal process, but the burden that we'd have to prove is quite high. There's no appeal process through the Environmental Protection Act for us.
The other statement that an individual made in our meeting was the reason they cooperate with the applicant is to prevent them ending up at the LPAT. Because I believe he stated, otherwise I'd be at the LPAT all the time. So it was pretty disconcerting that, you work with the applicant just to prevent, an appeal. And then keep the municipality out of the consultation. So fortunately, I mean, was I misspeaking when I'm saying that even though they have an ECA, they're not gonna start constructing whatever was approved in this thing, are they?
So through you, Mr. Chair, we're still working through all of the implications of the CCA with our township solicitor. I did notice there's a 5-year sort of grace period to have a lot of this, I believe, I read that in the ECA. So nothing is immediately happening on site, which again, from an environmental protection perspective is concerning for different reasons, but in terms of construction, I don't think there's anything sort of pending urgent that's happening.
And if they do start construction, what,
All of our normal enforcement avenues still exist. The municipality is still in, under the building code, responsible to issue permits. Our zoning bylaw still applies in terms of a use operating illegally. So all of that's still on the table for us.
okay. All right, thanks.
I'm good.
Just a question, my concern is still over the, safety of our water and the contamination potential and it does say in here that they need to be using lime swales and ponds, but how is that being enforced? And my second question being if a resident or someone would like to, express their concern over this, how do they get in contact with, and I assume it's MECP?
So through Mr. Chair, they can contact the MECP. Again, no appeal rights, so I'm not sure what raising those concerns will result in. I really don't know how the MECP would manage those complaints.
Do they have a complaint line? Like, do they have a?
They have a spill line where you can report a spill, which might be appropriate in this situation. And then we do have a local officer that can be as well.
If we can't get them to acknowledge a spill when a spill happens, maybe we get them to acknowledge a spill. Anyways, I'll leave that. One thing that I heard in your comments were conditions of site changes that would require a building permit, and if the township doesn't issue a building permit, then they wouldn't be able to be compliant with the agreement that was before us. So like, can you maybe explain the circular nature of this quagmire we find ourselves in?
So through Mr. Chair, and to be fair, I don't know if the requirements in what the required build out of the site looks like specifically and whether any of that would trigger a building permit or another type of permit with the municipality. I also am unclear on where there's an ECA in place to import soil. Typically, our site alteration bylaw doesn't apply, which would typically govern, changes in grade and things like that. So I'd need more understanding of what's being requested here, but certainly for the buildings and structures that apply on site, they don't have any legal status to be operating commercially. And certainly not, even sort of the parking lots that exist right now, operating commercially, those aren't uses that are legal on the site as it exists today without sort of a planning act application being approved. And building permits cannot be issued without zoning because zoning is applicable law. So that's sort of how we come full circle.
Okay. No more questions.
So we're just receiving that for information, right? Do we have a mover and a seconder for that?
We had Councilor Secoulas and Councilor Billy.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. Oh, we're on to council reports again, huh? Think we could invite Laura in here briefly? Is that right? Just need to be able to grab Laura? Or not see?
I was gonna ask.
I will. She'll do a better job at it. Welcome.
Hello, council.
We're at our council updates. And I wanted to speak about our little adventure at Aberfoyle Public School.
Oh,
And I thought you'd have a clearer memory than I had, or have. But anyhow, so Laura and I attended Aberfoyle Public School last Thursday.
Mhm.
And we spoke to all the grade fives at the school. This is where I got my disease from, my sickness, and, some chocolate bars, which was awesome. And anyways, it was a great presentation by the youth committee, and then forget how long I was on the hot seat, 30, 40 minutes somewhere.
Yeah, through Mr. Chair, I think the youth committee presented for probably like 30 minutes and then they answered questions. And then after there was no more questions for the youth committee, the mayor went up and they asked a wide variety of questions to the mayor.
And, I thought it went really well.
No, the students were so engaged. They really,
And-
really liked it.
I was enjoying myself. I don't remember most or of the questions, but they were mostly pertinent. I don't know if you can think of some examples that were worthy of, maybe not the lights one, but.
I would say like anything from how do you apply to be on council? What's that process? How long have you been on council? Down to even like more specific things with the fire department or,
Pricing, remember they asked?
yeah, they
if,
asked about groceries, if, like the township's responsible for grocery prices. They honestly asked some really good questions.
Yeah, they were very well engaged, so, I wanna thank the youth committee and yourself for inviting me over there. And, I believe the members of the youth committee asked me if I would attend the School of Guelph, and my initial response was no. But I've rethought that position.
High school.
I know. So I will officially say that I would be welcome to that, as long as there's the Postage Youth Committee members there.
Right, that are on
You know,
in the
that are
school.
addressing them, so,
Mhm.
but anyways, I thought it was a great job. Well done, and we had fun, and, I would do it again, so.
And that was to celebrate,
Oh,
it was to
All of
celebrate
it was for local government week, yeah,
Yeah.
which is getting celebrated this week for all of Ontario.
happy local government week, everybody.
Yes. And it's too bad we didn't get a photo. I was really, because then we could have, but next year.
Yeah.
Next year we'll get a good photo of everyone. Mhm.
so it was good. So that's what I have, so thank you for coming in here,
Thanks, guys.
appreciate it. Any updates from members of council? Resolution to receive that for information, please.
Yeah.
Councilor Bailey?
Yep.
Councilor Hurst?
Sure.
All in favor? Well,
I think she shut the door.
All right, that the following bylaw be taken as read 3 times and finally passed in open council. And sorry, wrong number here. Bylaw 2024-065, being a bylaw to confirm and authorize continued participation in the OMERS primary pension plan and the retirement compensation arrangement for the OMERS primary pension plan. Each as amended from time to time for the employees of the Corporation of the Township of Plisslanch, and being a bylaw to repeal bylaw 004-1963.
I can move for that, please. Councilor Hurst, Councilor Spillis, all in favor? That's carried. All right, I believe we're gonna go into closed.
The council should go into closed session under section 239 of the Municipal Act for the purpose of a confidential verbal report regarding litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board. And this is in relation to a number of bylaw enforcement matters in accordance with section 3.14 of the township's bylaw complaint policy. 14.2 is confidential minutes from previous closed meetings, and there are 6 minutes being considered. Confidential item 14.3 regarding litigation or potential litigation, including matters for administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, and this is the governance review. Confidential item 14.4 and 14.5 regarding personal matters about identifiable individuals, including municipal or local board employees, and that's in relation to human resource matter, and I've noted Mayor Sealy's conflict on item 14.4. And confidential item 14.6 regarding personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, and this is in relation to a municipal property matter.
All right, mover, please. Councilor Spillis and Councilor Bailey, all in favor? That's carried.
Justine?
Welcome back. I'm sorry, Fox, could you read the resolution, go back into open session?
Yeah, the council moves into open session at 5:07 PM.
Okay, can I get a mover? Council Dupulis, seconded by Council Hurst, all in favor? And that carried. And then we have another resolution.
The council receives the confidential verbal report regarding litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board. This is in relation to a number of bylaw enforcement matters. Confidential minutes from the previous closed meeting as noted in the agenda. Confidential item 14.3 regarding litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the local board or municipality, and that's in relation to a governance review. Confidential items 14.4 and 14.5 regarding personal matters of an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, and that's in relation to a human resource matter. Confidential item 14.6 regarding personal matters of an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, and that's in relation to a municipal property matter, and that's Dr. Cita's directive.
Okay, and can I get a mover? Council Bailey, can I get a Council Hurst, all in favor? And that carried.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think I'm back in the chair.
What did I know?
They're handing me the gavel.
High five.
Hand it back. All right, so business horizon can we close session? None, you notice a motion today? No?
Well, just the one that I mentioned, we did the, invitation.
Okay, all of this, right? So it's
Okay.
captured earlier.
Yes.
Okay, any new business? Well, this is the new business. 17.1 draft motion for protection of agricultural lands. Did you have some recommendations for some changes? Councilor Smith?
Yes, I did, and I provided that.
Trying, I know we all wanna go home, but, the only thing I don't see in this is any reference to municipal urban growth and how they have impacts on, excess soil. So is there any value in adding a component of that?
So through Mr. Chair, I had added a component around identifying that urban centers have an obligation to ensure that, soil's not out of sight, out of mind when you're having development projects in your municipality. It should be the municipality's responsibility to understand where that fill is going and use reputable contractors, but I sort of removed that from it because that obligation is, it exists within the excess soil regs currently with the registry and tracking where soil goes. But I also know that, the township is responsible for that as well. And so we're sort of on the same page as the urban centers. We have fill that is removed from our municipality and we also have an obligation to track for that.
Okay. You good? Okay, so do you have a recommendation?
I'm just going to pull it up here. All right, how would you like me to do this? Read
Just
it out
ask-
or?
No, just for interest of time.
Okay.
We all have it here. And so it's presented and if there's been modified, I go.
Yes. So it's as amended through the council Q&A. So there was some suggested wording around sort of, instead of naming the traffic tunnel, just talking a little bit more broadly about underground projects. And then just some, a little bit of refinement of the wording, but it's in the Q&A.
Okay, we'll move it to, also I think you should circulate this to, let me see the. Do you have a circulation list for all municipalities? Send it to everybody.
But it says they're all on the municipality.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Is the Premier's office on here?
Yep.
Yes. I've done, so the
Oh,
MECP.
Premier was there.
Yeah, Premier, all Ontario municipalities, NPP are not on the rate, the Wellington Federation of Agriculture, OMAFRA.
Didn't know you had it covered. Okay, so can I move over a second for that, please? Councilor Hurst, Councilor Willis, all in favor? It's carried. Then, so we have confirmatory bylaw.
So the following bylaw be taken as read 3 times and finally passed in open council. Bylaw 2024-066. being a while to confirm the proceedings of council for the corporation of Township of Plymouth at its meeting held on the 23rd day of October 2024.
Move this, Mr. Hirsch, Mr. Lewis, I did do that from last one, well, all in favor? Carried, adjourned, yes.
Council hereby adjourns at 5:12 p.m.
Here you are, Councilor Goida, Councilor Bailey, favor? Carried. Thank you, everyone, good job. Everybody.